how many people are going to buy these fucking shoes?
Well, there's only 1,000.
And they're what, 400 a pop? 400 times 1,000, I mean, that's $4,000. So I didn't go to fucking school for math.
I'm Grace Weinstein. This is What the Fuck America. Welcome back. As we move forward in this presidential campaign, I feel like every single day it's getting a little bit clearer and clearer, obviously who the candidates are, but also what their messaging is, which groups they're appealing to, and what language and visuals they're using to appeal to them. So with that in mind, we're going to take a little exploration about some potential merch that's been released, some potential trends that have been hopped on TikTok, and we're here obviously with the Recount senior political producer, Steve Morris. So I'm gonna ask you this kind of crazy question. If you were given $1 million from each campaign, Donald Trump's campaign and Joe Biden's campaign, to produce an ad for them, where would you be putting it? What would the focus be? And you don't have to be like making the actual content yourself, but if you were creative directing, as the boys who skateboard around Soho would say, what direction would you go in?
I think both of them I would be running on Hulu or some sort of subscription-based thing, because who the fuck watches TV anymore? Maybe swing voters, actually, I don't know. But I do think a ton of this, and we're not just saying this in a self-serving way, I think a ton of this election will come down to whether or not young people turn out and whether they break for Biden in the way that they did before. Why are you asking me this?
Because each campaign has released something recently. Something is kind of the only word I can find to describe both of these two things together. And we can walk through them, but it tells us a lot about what direction these candidates are heading in and who they're trying to appeal to. So the first drop, and I use the word drop intentionally, because that's what they call it when you release a new sneaker. SneakerCon happened in Philadelphia. It happens every year. It's where all the sneakerheads go and
Sounds thrilling.
Collect. Yeah, I'm sure it's something that you'd love. I probably would actually have a good time.
I mean, how much more is there to say? They're shoes. You wear them.
There's so much to say about
my
sneakers.
God.
There's so much to say. Until you're online bidding on a sneaker resale, you do not know adrenaline and you do not know stakes.
You told me not 20 minutes ago that you were trying not to shop anymore.
Which I'm not, and I'm actually thinking of selling these Nike Vapor Max 360s.
Yeah, if you're interested, yeah, comment below.
So Donald Trump pulls up to SneakerCon and drops a sneaker. Did you see a photo of them?
I did. They look, I did.
Yeah.
They look like Austin, what's the 90s show, Austin Powers? They're a little bit, like gold member-y.
Oh,
gaudy,
a little
flashy.
gold member if they went to Liberty University. Gold member if they went to Liberty University. What I was saying is like they're Jordans for like people who became fans of Kanye West in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
So he drops these $400 sneakers. There's also two pairs that are less, that are just unfathomably uglier. They're called the Never Surrender sneaker. They're already reselling on eBay for upwards of $7,000 per sneaker. They obviously have not been like released yet. You actually don't get them mailed to you until I want to say July or August, depending on the pair. What is the purpose of him? Also, he got booed to oblivion on stage. Boo! It was in Philly. They're sneakerheads. Fashion people are typically...
People are coming out of town,
pretty liberal, yeah.
You think the sneaker community skews ideological?
Yeah, I'd say streetwear. Yeah, I do, especially socioeconomically. Like there are a lot of factors, like socio-political factors that play in fashion, but we can get into that another time. That I could go on for forever. They booed him.
Did anybody cheer? Some cheering and boos?
A little light woo-woo, kind of really overpowered.
And what did he talk about?
He just said, I'm releasing these sneakers that are signifiers of our campaign.
Oh, it wasn't like a
They're
campaign
limited
speech.
Edition. No.
Okay.
I mean, I only saw a little clip of it, but what is the purpose of doing something like that in your opinion? Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, shock value, limited supply, high demand is an economic thing that he's going for. What is the point of this?
Yeah, part of why I didn't plug super into it is because I'm just like, I don't know. It does strike me as a little bit similar to the Biden campaign strategy of at least saying that they are, trying to reach people in different areas than politicians usually go to, and a sneaker convention is not a place that politicians typically go to. But
No.
you know it better than I do. Like, what was he doing there? I don't
Right. I actually would like to read you something because this article was written by Vanessa Friedman, who works for the New York Times, who, if you're a fashion girly, you know Vanessa Friedman.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
she's amazing.
totally. Vanessa.
You should read her.
Frieds.
Vivi Frieds. She said, it's a form of insidious trivialization, a sort of tactic that plays perfectly in the landscape of late-stage capitalism, in which everything is a product for sale. Oh, those old federal charges, they're not serious, they're a style choice. He's transforming indictments into accessories, a language everyone speaks.
I think that I would give her an A on her paper at Vassar.
That's it.
And that's all I have. I mean, what the fuck? They're sneakers, man. Like, I don't know. Like, is it that serious?
So
do you think it's
to
that
me,
serious?
Serious, no. But to me, it's very intentional, and I fucking hate that word. People are always like, I'm so intentional about the choices that I'm making.
My yoga,
right.
yeah.
That's just meaningless to me because people don't actually know what it means. But I think this is an intentional move away of being like, look over here, as this $355 million fine that he's getting slapped with comes down. He is so good at refocusing attention to something else, and we allow him to do it over and over again. It's like, okay, he just gets handed the biggest fine I've like ever heard of, maybe, where his interest is going up every single day, could hit $400 million, and yet the only thing I'm thinking about is the sneakers. That probably reveals something embarrassing about me and the capacity for my focus and attention when it comes to him. But it's so deliberate and it works.
I do think that it's definitely intentional, obviously. I also don't think his goal is to make money, really. Because, like, how many people are going to buy these fucking shoes?
Well, there's only 1,000.
And they're what, 400 a pop? 400 times 1,000, I mean, that's $4,000.
Right.
So I didn't go to fucking school for math. So like that's clearly not the goal. And like I get that everybody wants to be like, oh, he's like such a grifter, like whatever. I don't think he's trying to make money. I do think one thing that has been his MO for really since he came into the whole sphere is to give the people who are on his side ammo to laugh at the criticisms of him, to reduce them to punchlines. And in that way, he's served by people who overreach sometimes, maybe somebody who, when Adam Kinzinger started crying during the January 6th committee, whatever. But this to me is like a way to be like funny and jokey about it. So I agree with you, it's intentional there. What he's actually hoping to achieve, I don't know.
Right, because you say that this is probably not about money, and I agree. The money thing is real, though. And when you think about money that campaigns have on hand, which, for the record, I'll be the first to admit, I didn't really know that this was public information. I went on the FEC website, and I could see like where each campaign was at. They released their filings like month by month of cash that they have on hand. He is doing something that I find really interesting, which is he's kind of moving money around between these different PACs and super PACs that are, focused on him, because right now he doesn't have access to RNC money because he's not the official candidate yet for the Republican Party. He will get access to that money, it seems, when he becomes the nominee.
Yeah.
So for now, he's just kind of being like, I'm going to move $50 million from this PAC to this PAC so I can help pay my legal bills, which are astronomical, obviously. I've never heard of like someone moving money around like that. Is he in financial trouble, it seems like to you?
I mean, the campaign finance laws are crazy, you know.
Crazy.
And the funny things about them is like there are these limitations on like this committee can do this, that can do this, but then there's also ways you can literally just transfer money around. So
like
it's
Venmo yourself.
Yeah, literally, basically. So it is this weird, fucked up kind of in between, upside down thing. I must admit, I don't really know what the scenario is. I don't know what the RNC's involvement is with the legal bills, right? Like, who's paying the legal bills?
So one of the PACs is paying the legal bills. The campaign is not.
Okay.
Or one of the PACs is funding the campaign to pay the legal bills. So what I have here is the campaign spent over $800,000 on lawyers just in January.
Well, I mean, something real that's going on is there are way fewer people donating to campaigns and PACs right now than there were over the past like 6, 7, 8 years. Like this time 2020, people were going gangbusters on both sides. Like Trump was raising a ton of money, Democrats were. This time around, both parties are like struggling to get people to donate.
Yeah, I was looking at the Biden numbers too, and it says that he has $130 million total in the bank right now. He raised $42 million in January, which is a lot. His campaign manager said it's an indisputable show of strength to start the election year, but it is less than Trump had at this point in 2020, which that is like an unfathomable amount of money to me. When it goes to campaign communications and what they're kind of putting out in the world, ads, their social content, the surrogates that they're employing to get messaging out for them, like where is that money going for the most part? Do you know the answer to that?
Like the money that they raised there?
Yeah.
I mean, a ton of it is like this stuff you never really see in politics that's kind of boring. It's like we're opening a field office in this suburban strip mall and we picked this location because it's 20 miles from this, town that was swingy, and it's also 5 miles from here, and like whatever. Or it's like paying people, sometimes campaigns call it walking around money, where you pay canvassers to go door to door, whatever. Or you are paying for, access to these data, trails that give you access to knowing whether this person on Facebook is going to the mall at 12:30 and whether it'd be good to target them with a radio ad here. There's all these things that you don't see but inform. I really don't know how that all adds up to like $1 billion on both sides, but it does.
One of the Biden super PACs called Future Forward has a $250 million ad buy planned for August. So they're already planning the ads that are going to run after the convention. It's mostly focused on TV, $140 million, and then $110 million for digital and streaming. $35 million for YouTube, where you can watch this show, so maybe you'll see an ad there. To me, it's so funny. Like, I think of a campaign ad on TV as like, oh, I'm never going to listen to that. I'm never going to look at that. But that's where they're putting most of the money towards. To you, like, do you feel like TV advertising is outdated considering, like, the base that they're trying to appeal to, which to me is younger voters, where they're trying to gear towards? They don't watch TV, like you said. They don't even have cable. Should those priorities be a little bit different?
Well, part of it, like campaigns in general have to reach a bunch of different people, right? And Democrats in particular have a much more diverse coalition than do Republicans. Of course, we're talking about race, part of it, that's always just part of it. 90% of people who vote for Republicans are white. But it's also way more Democrats are younger voters, way more Democrats, live in different parts of the country. There's just way more diversity, so you have to have a much more diverse strategy than Republicans do. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the people who are going to decide this election, yes, are young voters, but it's also like 55-year-old dads in, Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, who do watch the nightly news every night and maybe watch some TV show that in New York is considered like chuggy and old school, whatever, but it's getting
Network
those people.
comedies,
yeah, literally,
network
The Big Bang
sitcoms,
Theory,
right.
Bazinga, NYC. So yeah, I mean, you got to. I guess the bottom line is you have to have both.
Right. So speaking of both, the Biden team unleashed is the word I will use, their TikTok account on us.
Yeah, they unleashed it on us.
Yeah. We are experiencing its wrath currently. As Jon Stewart, who is back on The Daily Show, said, Joe Biden seems to be the only person that got on TikTok and somehow seems older, which is funny. Have you looked at any of the TikTok at all?
Oh, I have.
My biggest shock moment as I'm swiping through earlier today was this these slides of him, and it's to
Biden.
Yes, it's to FTCU by Nicki Minaj, which is fuck that club, fuck this club up, fuck that club up, whatever. And I'm looking at his face, and it's just high heels on my tippies, Dolce and Gabbana. That's which love that song, but I'm this is such a cognitive
Wait,
dissonance.
what was he doing though?
It was just it was messaging about him being dark Biden, dark Brandon, or whatever that thing is where they put the laser eyes on him.
Dark Brandon.
So they are trying to insert him into the trends, it seems. it's jolting for me. Like, I'm happy that they're there. I think it's they should be there, but I am confused when I look at that.
It's funny because like the dance with trying to be like of the youth culture and like with the memes is like there will always be a little like chugginess and corniness to it.
Totally.
And I think the people who succeed in doing that have some self-awareness about that, and they frame it as like funny, whatever. I don't know if Biden is ideally positioned to do that.
Right.
But who knows?
So to me, if I'm looking at the content, there are so many like old people on TikTok who are famous and viral for being charming old people. They're fashion content creators, they're food content creators. Come on, have you ever seen the woman who's like, have you ever had a Krispy Kreme?
Oh, yeah.
Is it crispy? Like, she's an old woman. And she has like a very big account. Like, age doesn't separate you from doing well on that app, but you're so right. Like, they have an awareness of what they're doing there. I think they need to be phrasing him as more like, and I'm gonna butcher this Latin, like pater familia. That is 6 months of Latin when I was in 6th grade, right there. But kind of like the father figure in this chaotic, disorganized, broken American family that is all of us, rather than like
trying to put like his aviators on and being like, I'm gonna put my laser eyes on you or whatever.
Totally.
I mean, the funny thing is that a lot of like the goals of advertising and different accounts vary, right? Like sometimes I get ads for Biden on pre-rolls on my YouTube.
Do you?
And I do all the time. And I
only get one. I get the Obama one.
I get the Obama one. That's the one that they deploy most of all.
They've never met in their lives next to each other. It's so crazy.
And then I get ones with just Biden. And those are donation ads, though. Those are not to convince me to vote for him, saying like, hey, did you know he signed this, and this? Those are geared towards getting people who are already in for him to donate money. And those are not obviously the kind of ads that they would run on, someone in Pennsylvania on TV. And one thing I noticed with the TikTok is they put this thing up, I think this weekend, of the comms director and the maybe digital director, these two guys who like were talking about how the New York Times was covering Biden's age or something. They were kind of attacking the New York Times coverage of it. And to me, that indicated that the TikTok thing might be geared more towards revving up and rallying the people who already like Biden rather than trying to convince, younger people who are on the fence about voting.
I think so. And that raises something like really interesting to me, because one of the TikToks that I saw was like, here are the two candidates. A photo of Trump says that Russia should invade NATO countries, which is something that Trump, for the most part, pretty much said a week or two ago. And then it slides to Biden, and it's a photo of Biden, and it says, he didn't do that, which to me was so representative of the way that they so far are communicating this entire campaign, which is Trump is this person and Biden is just not that. And it's like, I don't think that they're realizing that that's not motivating at all. It's this like defining who someone is by negation. Like, and it's something that really, really bothers me, because there are a lot of things that from a, objective standpoint, Biden has done, especially with, for NATO and foreign relations, that people could say like he has done actively good things in the direction opposite of Trump. You should speak to those things. Yeah. But that reluctance to do that, and instead the kind of like cockiness that comes off as like, I'm just the guy who didn't do those things, is not working.
Yeah, I mean, the polls which seem to indicate it's not working. I mean, this gets to the big thing that, a lot of people don't want to talk about, but is in the background of all of this, which is Biden's age. And it's not that, and I think this is where I get frustrated with the conversation about it, because people get fixated on, oh, you're saying 81 is too old to be president or whatever. And that's not it. It's the people within Biden's campaign, we know this from all the reporting, have decided that the more he speaks and is out there trying to articulate the differences between them, that's not an asset to their campaign. Now, again, you said, like, you could be an incredible president and not be a great public speaker. Right. We actually had a ton of those for a long time until TV came along. It was only relatively recently that we decided you have to be, have great teeth and like, yeah, exactly. Absolutely. But that is the way we run them now. And I think what they've kind of had to decide is like, okay, in lieu of having our guy out there taking the attention, leading the charge, what's our strategy? And that's why I think you see some things like that that are a little awkward.
Right. They're a little awkward, but it's deliberate to me also in the way that like they're in complete control of that content. They get to do multiple takes. They get to say this joke isn't landing, let's try this one. Say that sweater doesn't look good when we're filming, let's change it to this one. The lighting over here, they get complete control over social media content. On the flip side of that, that's a good thing. You know, that's what we all do. I make sure that my face is painted correctly before I come here. I start a sentence over again when I mess it up. Like that is the art or, you know, the negative side in many ways of social media. On the other side, you get Trump, who is the master of taking advantage of these spontaneous and instantaneous moments. He doesn't need that careful consideration that, oh, let's run that line again because he sounded weird. And whether that's working for him or not doesn't actually matter because he's decided and his campaign has decided this is the way that we're going to do that, which I think works to his benefit, showing him as this like on the fly, I can do anything, roll with the punches kind of girl, as opposed to the calculated, rehearsed way that they're forcing Biden to be.
I think that's a great point, and it also gets to, like, I think people need to get through their heads, yes, Biden beat Trump once before, but that was in the middle of a once-in-a-century, fingers crossed, pandemic, where everything that we know about campaigns was upended. Yeah. And he won by 4.5 points. That's nothing to sneeze at, but it wasn't like he blew Trump out of the water in the swing states, you know? And so, like, I think people really need to internalize this is going to be way different. You need to be much more nimble, and I think it remains to be seen how that will shake out.
Yeah, and you have to make the case that you earn your voters again. You have to earn votes. I really firmly believe that.
I don't. I think you deserve them by being born. My question for you, how many events a week, public events, do you think both, if you're Biden, because Trump's not officially the candidate though, basically, let's say both of them, how many do you think would be normal for them to be holding at this point?
Per week?
Like rallies, roundtables, that kind of thing.
I'd say one rally.
Okay.
Fine with that. I think 2 events where you show up somewhere, and then 2 events where you sit down with people somewhere. An interview or a direct conversation with the press, I think adds 2 or 3 of those. So realistically, that's at least 1 thing per day.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 things. I don't think that's too much.
I don't think so either.
Because that's also like not location dependent. You can kind of do that where you're comfortable being. I don't think we're expecting them to be all over the map this early. It is the benefit of like they did already run this campaign 1 time. Like we kind of know what we're getting, which is what I said. Let's pick it up in August. Like
yeah, totally.
I don't care if you don't do anything till then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does say something about them when it feels more restrained.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the only reason I ask is because both of them are holding way fewer events this time around than they did 4 years ago.
Let them.
Sure, yeah.
They say the same thing over and over and over again. I got it at this point. I'm tapped in. There's a lot of people who don't get it and might need to hear it, but I don't think those are the type of people who are listening in February.
I wish I wasn't listening in February.
I know, me too. Me too. But here we are. We're listening in February, and we're here for you if you want to yap at us. We got our ears open. Make sure you're subscribed to What the Fuck America so you see us next time.